Bonjour, welcome to another episode of Asexuality, my Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. So today we're going to be discussing why society doesn't accept asexuality, which is following on from our last couple of videos. So, and what can we do about this? So, happy Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, if you didn't know, is to celebrate our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it. So, today I'm going to kick the show off with more of quotes from my Asexual Perspectives book. So, why do you feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation in its own right, and what can be done about it? This is Jen Mullen's story on page 296. Thank you for the thumbs up. Lots of love to you. Oh, hi, Sam. Lots of love. Nice to see you. So this is Jen Mullen's story on page 296. So the printed copy, I know you've got a copy of this book, Sam. So people are so obsessed with sex, especially LGBT people, because so much of LGBT is about who you have sex with. I think people put too much stock in their sex lives, and when they see people who can be completely happy without that, they feel threatened because they think that their relationships have to have sex to be fulfilling. Maybe they worry that if their sexual prowess fades, their lover will leave, while people who are in a relationship for romance don't have to worry as much. I think that's a really good point. So basically, what she's saying was, if they see people who are completely happy without sex, and they feel in their relationships they have to have sex in order to please a person, or the person will leave them, then that could lead to some sort of jealousy and them feeling like they're unfulfilled and satisfied in their relationships. So that's quite an interesting take on things. I have thought that about myself. I mentioned, I think yesterday, that I do think that, you know, some sexuals will never believe that even a sexual person could live without sex, because some sexuals can be in relationships without sex, but most sexuals won't believe that, because if they have to have sex in their current relationship and they can't be with their partner without it, and their partner will reject them if they didn't, then if they accepted the fact that there are some sexuals that can love asexuals and not have sex with anyone else, then it kind of means for them that it's like, oh God, I can't be loved without sex, but that person can be loved without sex. And so it's kind of a threat to them, if you know what I mean. It makes them uncomfortable, because like, no, everyone's got to have sex. But there are rare few sexuals in the world that can live without sex and be with an asexual in a loving relationship. We had Sparky on here the other night, Sparky 666, and that's basically what he does. And he was saying he's only 20, and he loves his partner implicitly, and she means the world to him, basically. So that's the most important thing to him, you know. And I'm glad that he's discovered that at such a young age. It's really good for him that he's found the love of his life, and he doesn't care what people keep saying to him. You know, he'd rather be with that person than go and have sex with someone else, because at the end of the day, there's a lot more that's important to a relationship than sex. And you don't have to have sex. It's not compulsory. It's just that we're programmed and conditioned since birth, basically, to believe that's what we should be doing. But we definitely don't have to do that. People don't have to do that. So, this is Thomas's story on page 320 of Asexual Perspectives book. So, why do you feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation in its own right, and what can be done about this? On an academic level, I believe they don't accept asexuality as a sexual orientation because, by definition, asexuality is a lack of sexual preference. All that can be done to change this is to redefine what a sexual preference is and allow the word non to be added to the definition. That's really interesting, because it's not really... Is it about sexual preference? I don't know if that's the right word to use, like, about sexual preference. It's kind of like, it's not to do with being sexual at all, is it? But and again, obviously the asexual spectrum is huge and wide. So yeah, I mean, I still think it's good to have the lack of sexual attraction, because the whole point of the asexual spectrum is that everyone on it lacks sexual attraction in some way, whether it's full blown lacking sexual attraction or whether it's not normal the amount of sexual attraction they experience. That's the point, that it's lacking in its usual substance to the heteronormative heterosexual ways. So it's very interesting. But I do understand what Thomas is saying. So Marnie's story, page 328. So what does Marnie feel that in general, or why does Marnie feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation, and what can be done about this? Most people think you have to be a certain sexual orientation in order to fit in. The majority is fearful of being accepted for who they are. We need to stop judging and be who we are and accept others for themselves. And yeah, I was saying this before, that in order to be, well, I was emailing someone back in a message actually, and I was saying the other day, in order to be accepted for who we are, we need to accept other people. Like years ago, I was a lot more close-minded, and I was very much more judgy, I guess, and I was very much probably more judgy of myself. I'm still quite judgy of myself, you know, but I learned over a period of time that, you know, if I want to be accepted for who I am and being so different to others, is that I need to accept others' differences of being, you know, accept other people being so different to me. And so when I began to accept that other people are vastly different in some ways to me, and I began to actually communicate and talk and engage in conversation with those who are very different from me sometimes, I, you know, found that I was more easily able to fit in to the great, interesting world that we live in. And, you know, when I say fit in, I've never totally fitted in, right? Because I'm so different. But what I mean to say is feel less like an outsider, because I can feel connected to people who are different to me, if you know what I mean. And I just feel like by judging other people less, then I'm able to have more acceptance myself. But that's mostly since I've been in the asexual community, I'd say, you know. And with the asexual community, it's been the best thing ever, because even if we're all different, we've all got the lack of sexual attraction, the asexuality bonding us together, if you know what I mean. So it means that it helps facilitate you knowing and learning about a lot more different types of people. That's the way it feels for me anyway. Like having my asexual meetups, when I can usually hold them, because obviously I'm recovering from a broken ankle at the moment, it's allowed me to be able to talk and converse with lots of different types of asexuals and people in general that maybe I wouldn't have done so much with before, maybe wouldn't have talked to so many different people before. But it's actually been a blessing for me, because I've able to open up more to different types of people and able to converse more and communicate more with them and learn more about the world and people around me more. So it's been a really fascinating journey of discovery of myself and of people, of life. And, you know, I kind of feel like I live in the asexual world more than the sexual world, you know. I kind of feel like there's two worlds in one, and we're like the ace part of the world, and we're in our own world, and then there's another world, you know. But I live in my own world all the time anyways. Apart from that, I think my world of quirky, as I call it. So I kind of like living in different worlds. It's kind of interesting and good. And, you know, I just love talking to asexuals. There's someone in one of the asexual groups today, and they posted a post saying that they can't, you know, they were in a dating, asexual dating group, and they posted a post about the fact that they really need an asexual person to be in a relationship with them, because, you know, they can't really relate so well to sexuals. They can't feel that emotional connection with a sexual person that they could do with an asexual person, you know? And I really related to that, because personally for me, I don't think I could ever have a fulfilling, satisfying relationship with a sexual person, because I can't get that deep emotional bond with them like I can with an asexual person, you know? Usually I can't anyway. You know, it's just not very easy to do that personally, I think. because it's kind of like the sexual tension and sexual energy just really for me creates a barrier, I think, to that. And also I think it prevents them from wanting to get close. This is my personal experience. Obviously I mentioned Sparky is in a relationship with an asexual, and I can tell just through their words on the chat usually that they very much love their asexual partner, you know. So I'm not saying this is true for absolutely everyone. I'm just saying this is my personal experience. You know, for me, I haven't been able to emotionally connect on such a deep level to a sexual person as I have asexual people in general, to be honest with you. I just find it so much easier to connect because it's like they're my own people, they're my own kind. I can relate to them, they can relate to me a lot better. I feel like I'm connected to them automatically by default in that way. And that feels just like a fantastic experience, you know, a beautiful experience. So I'm very grateful to the asexual community for that. Right, it's Adora's story. Why do you feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation in its own right, and what can be done about this? Page 364 of Asexual Perspectives. We've been told over and over that sex and romance, specifically hetero, is the be all and end all of human experience. That sex is the best thing people can do, and you should always be working towards making yourself sexually attractive, and that you should stay on the lookout for potential partners. Obviously, boys get a different slant on this narrative than girls. But the basic story is the same. Sex is also sold as the only form of intimacy that is valuable. So if you are very deep and intimate friends with someone, you're just friends and sex is the next level. So if you haven't slept with someone, you obviously don't know as much about them, which is a load of bullshit, as we know. I mean, there's so many different forms of intimacy, you know, like sharing secrets is a form of intimacy. Having deep conversations is a form of intimacy. You know, just spending quality time together is a form of intimacy. You know, sharing food together, a meal together is a form of intimacy. So you can be intimate with quite a lot of people, you know, even acquaintances or friends. I mean, some people I know, they have parties at their house and they have loads of people around. And if you're sharing your personal space with someone, and if you're sharing food with them, you know, that is intimacy still, you know, because it's an intimate environment. It's an enclosed environment with certain people you selected. So, you know, there is a lot to intimacy, and it's such a shame that the world is just so hell bent on focusing on sexual attraction, which to me, and sex itself, to me, you know, it's more of a physicality than an intimacy in some ways, you know, like you know, sex is more of a physical thing than an actual, but you can feel it very emotional doing it, you know, in my personal experience, you can feel very emotionally doing it. Not necessarily in a good way if you're an asexual who doesn't feel that natural, doesn't want it naturally, or you know. So sometimes when I used to do that, I used to cry afterwards, and I didn't know why, but now I know it's because I'm asexual. I didn't realize it at the time. I'm pretty sure that's why, you know. Um, so I didn't cry after it all the time, just certain times, but it can get very emotional, I think, if you are emotionally attached to the person as well, you know. So, you know, like I have, you know, like my ex, last long time ex, I was emotionally attached to him. But there's a difference between emotional attachment and emotional connection. So emotional attachment is basically, like it says, you're emotionally attached to that person. You kind of don't want to let them go. You want to be with them because that's like an attachment. When you're emotionally connected to someone, it's like you're inside their soul, and you can think what they think and you can feel what they feel without actually being in the same room or near them. So it's a different type of thing. Connection is a different type of thing to attachment. And so I think some people get them confused sometimes. So you could have sex with someone, you could get emotionally attached to them without necessarily having a deep emotional connection with them. Whereas asexuals tend to love through a deep emotional connection. Therefore, if you do touch the body in some way, it doesn't have to be sex. Then to me, if you have emotional connection first and then you touch on, to me, just for example, holding hands with my I haven't got a special someone, but if I did, just holding hands, to me, fingers intertwined is very electric for me. It's like a very, very strong, passionate, sensual, exciting feeling of loved and warmth and affection, just doing that simple act, to me, that's really intimate. Because of the way I feel about the person inside and how I feel when I'm around them and how much I love and care about them. So yeah, intimacy can come in lots of different ways, and I think, like simple touching, like a stroke on the arm, can be very overlooked, possibly because, sometimes people do this in the workplace now. They start touching people's arms and patting people on the back and touching people's heads. So in terms of intimate relationships, it's not seen as so intimate anymore, because it's kind of like, well, people do it to everyone these days. Not necessarily though with asexuals, because a lot of asexuals can be touch averse, touch repulsed, or just want those type of things done in a serious committed relationship, which is my personal preference. I can hug my friends hello and goodbye, but if it's anything like stroking on the arms and stuff like that, I would only want that in a serious committed relationship, not for a friend to do that. Sam, holding hands and cuddling with my partner and just spending time in their company makes me feel incredible. Oh, that's lovely, Sam. I love hearing about you and your relationship. Mm, yeah, it's nice, like spending quality time. I was doing part of the Asexual Guide to Sex book today, and in it, my top love language is spending time. I won't go into everything in the book because that's going to spoil it, and I might have already just spoiled a little bit of it anyway. But quality time's like the top thing that's the most important to me. Even with my friends, as you probably gathered, because I like Skyping you and then spending time with Andy as well. Sam, I only do any form of physical contact in a relationship. I hate physical contact otherwise, but with them it is the exact opposite. Yeah, it's really nice you've got that with them. I think it makes it all the more special though, doesn't it? Like I was saying, like if work colleagues do stuff to you, like I don't have that in my work, but if work colleagues do stuff like that to you, it kind of like dilutes the specialness of it, I think. Whereas if you just reserve it for a intimate relationship, as in a romantic relationship, or with the person you're romantically in a relationship with, then I think it just makes it so much more special and better. And I'm glad that they make you feel incredible. You really deserve it. You deserve all that love and care and attention. It's really nice. I know they think the world of you. I know they always think about you all the time. So it's really good. Really good. They're always talking about Sammy did this, came over and saw me, or they always love you. I know that about them. So it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. I'm so glad. They're an amazing person. I'm glad. I'm glad you're happy, and I'm glad you've moved near them as well. Like, there's loads of people who just don't take that opportunity, isn't it? When they see someone in front of them that's right for them, they don't take that opportunity. And so I just so glad. Best thing to happen to me was meeting them. Oh, that's lovely. I'm glad. I'm glad it's going really well, because obviously you live near each other now, and I'm glad it's just getting stronger for you. That's really important. I'm glad. It's really good. I'm glad they make you happy. That's the most important thing. And like I said, it's nice that you live near them now. I think it's very important. I wish more asexuals would take opportunities, because there's so many asexuals that I see, it's like some say I want friends, yet then they don't even bother to message the people who want to try to be friends with them. So many people, asexuals, like, I want a relationship really badly, but then when they have the opportunity staring them in the face, they can't even see it or want it or need it anymore. It's kind of like crazy. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you waited your whole life for someone, like, take the opportunity. Stop, like, just being silly, basically. That's what I feel like telling everyone. Stop being silly. Don't waste opportunities. People don't realise how rare, precious and special asexual love is. To find asexual love, like a compatible asexual partner, there's no feeling like it. Even though I'm not in a relationship at the moment, I just know there's nothing like that feeling, because you've got a lot more, how can I put it, direct, straight love, to love, heart to heart, because there's none of this silly sexual stuff getting in the way, if you know what I mean. I'm calling it silly sexual stuff because obviously I'm asexual, I'm not into all that. But I know there's sexuals that sometimes watch this channel, but it's kind of like, to me, like I said, the sexual attraction and sex part is just like a barrier to me. Whereas, I feel like you can be a lot more intimate without sex. Sam, I was ready to give up entirely before I met them, and I'm so happy that I gave it a little extra time. Oh, I'm really glad for you. I'm really, really glad for you. It's good. I'm so happy for you. I love hearing about how you feel and how they make you feel. When I spoke to a new person I made friends with on Facebook earlier, they were telling me about their QPR, and it was lovely to hear them talk about their QPR as well. I just thought it was beautiful. I love it when I hear of asexual love stories or asexual relationships, and people caring about each other and genuinely wanting that person in their life and loving them. I just feel it's very, very good and very beautiful. It's very special and rare, and it should always be treasured forever. And I'm so glad that you're still loving them and loving each other as much as you always are. It's really good. I know they say about you being their soulmate as well, and you've told me that they're yours. So, soulmates forever. You've both said that to me. It's really sweet. Really, really nice. So, I like that. It's good. But yeah, I'm glad they're the best thing to happen to you. You deserve it. You deserve happiness. And I like the fact they make you feel incredible just being in their company. That's what a true loving relationship should be like. You should feel wonderful in their company. You should be excited to see them and happy. Like so many people complain, and then when they've got someone, they don't even appreciate that person. And I'm glad that you two still appreciate each other. I just find it sad that there's so many people in the asexual community I see, and they're like, "Oh, I really want a girlfriend. I really want a boyfriend. I really want a partner. I really want to be with someone." Yet they don't actually be proactive about it. They don't even try. I mean, I know you were trying for like 8 years, wasn't it? But a lot of these asexuals, they say they want something, and then when they get given it, it's like, I don't really want it, or they don't act like they want it. And I just think it's a shame. People don't realise, like, I would still like to find the right guy for me. I'm just taking a break from that at the moment because obviously I had some heartbreak recently, so I've got to not be going after that for at least another 1 or 2 years or more. That was why I almost gave up. No one puts any effort in, but it only takes that one person. Yeah. Yeah, well, I know your partner puts a lot of effort in, don't they, with you? I do know that about them. Like, they always want to see you, spend time with you, find things for you both to do together that you enjoy. And I really appreciate that about them for you. I think it's really, really good that they do that for you and with you, and you're like wanting to see them loads as well. I think it's really good. I think it's really, really good, that you make time for each other as well, because it's the most important thing, isn't it? Like I always say, like, you can't, like, materialistic things you can't take to the grave with you. Love is eternal. So it's much better to actually go for the love than it is all this materialistic stuff that some other people go for. So many people are scared. Like, I won't be scared to open my heart up again in the future, but at the moment, for me, it's just like I've had some real heartache, which I wasn't expecting. So I've got to focus on my career for the next 1, 2 years or more. I have to, for me. It's essential for my health at the moment. So, you know, um, I'm gonna be waiting a while. Probably might be forever, but maybe I'm destined to be single anyway, which is okay because it's good being single anyway. I can just look after me. So yes, I do miss a bit of kissing. I have to admit that's a bit difficult, but hey, you know, I'm a bit of a kissaholic, but I'm doing well with that. Anyway, oh, thank you for the thumbs up. Another lovely person's come to visit us. Right. So, um, right. Yes, we are moving on. That was Isadora's story. Now we're going to Anne's story, and Anne is on page 394. Now, Anne is, hi, JM. Oh, lots of love. Nice to see you. I love JM. They're always commenting on my videos and being very supportive on Twitter, aren't you? So thank you. Nice to see you. So yes, what was I saying? Yeah. So this is Anne's story. Now, Anne is the person that's also in Asexual Guide to Sex book. So there's one person that's come over from this book into my new book, which I'm still doing at the moment. I wrote more of it today. I'm really excited for the Asexual Guide to Sex because no longer is it just like a book about sex for asexuals. It's actually got a lot of relationship advice in that. I mean, it's packed full of relationship advice, and I still haven't finished it yet. So I'm really happy with the way that's gone, because it gives people a strong foundation of what a healthy relationship should look like before they even choose whether to have sex or not. So I'm really, really pleased that although I'm taking longer to do it than I thought, and I've had like space and time where I haven't been doing it, I'm really pleased about how the book's coming along. So anyway, this is Anne's. Why do you feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation in its own right, and what can be done about this? I think many people have trouble seeing outside of their own experiences. Only a few are really successful at imagining things they've never dealt with before, whether through empathy or extensive studying, sort of like explaining to a deaf person what a symphony sounds like, which could be described as a bunch of musical instruments playing a series of different tones in harmony, or not at times once you get to the modern period. Imagine what it would be like to explain to someone with sexual urges that you can physically look at someone without ever feeling the remotest urge to have sex with him, her, regardless of how sexy, hot he supposedly is. Or obviously any gender, but this is what Anne's written. So yeah, I do think that sexuals have a really difficult time trying to imagine, well, they just basically can't imagine anyone who doesn't have that urge, need, or want for sex. They can't compute it in their brain. It's like completely foreign, alien concept that they can't get their head around. And you know, to them, it's just like not normal, not natural. It's like there's got to be something wrong with you, because they just can't compute it in their brain. But I hope, you know, like with the Asexual Guide to Sex book, particularly, that actually more sexuals will pick that book up, not just asexuals, and they will begin to see how asexuals are actually wired different. We're like wired different in our minds, because when you read that book, you know, you'll actually, I mean, it's fascinating for asexuals, even if you don't want sex, because you can just see how our mind is wired so differently, and our attitude and our feelings and emotions towards sex and sexuals are. I mean, I can see it a lot, because obviously I used to be in heterosexual relationships for lots of my life in the past. And so I know how that kind of lifestyle is. I know how kind of their mindset works. I know how that life is. And it's in vast contrast to how asexuals think and feel. It wasn't until 2013 that I realized that I just couldn't have sex again. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. My mind had just completely switched to, you can't do that anymore. You just can't do it. Whatever you do, you just can't do it. And that's how my mind went. And that's like when I noticed something was drastically different with me, you know, than the majority of the people in the world. Because I'm like, hang on a minute, like before when I was in the past with my heterosexual ex for a long time, 2011 we split up, I was able to actually have sex with him then. But after that, I've never been able to have it with anyone else since. I just can't do that. It's just like, it doesn't compute in my mind, you know, that I can even force myself to do that. It's just, I feel like it's impossible for me to do. I'd have to actively want to partake in that. I'm not going to say want to do it as such, because I don't really like it, but I'd have to want to partake in it again. And if I wanted to partake in it again, I would do it. But, you know, like my mind just can't go there. It doesn't matter what I do. It's just like you just ultimately can't do that thing. It's just like a complete barrier there, you know, because it's just like I can't do that anymore. So that's when I really knew that I was sex repulsed, and that I just really don't like sex. And it doesn't feel right to me or good, even though I've had it in the past and it did feel fine and right at the time. Sam, I was never able to go through with it, even though I tried in order to maintain relationships. Yeah, it's a shame we have to do all this, isn't it? Like put ourselves through the mill. Like I considered, like, obviously writing the Asexual Guide to Sex book has been very interesting for me, because I'm having to remember what I felt at the time and the good things about the sex side of things, and you know, and the experiences I had. And it's very, very weird, because it's like I'm remembering everything. Well, not everything, I have to say not everything, but I'm remembering, you know, like stuff that, you know, usually I would forget about more because I'm not interested in sex, you know. But you know, I'm doing it to help other asexuals. I'm trying to be as objective as possible about how I felt and thought at the time. in comparison to how I am now, if you know what I mean. And, and it's like, I feel like you, Sam, nowadays, I was able, because before I was able to, but now how you feel is how I am now, whereas I wasn't so repulsed. Well, I wasn't repulsed before. I was like just doing that. I wasn't repulsed by it. But now I'm like, I've never really liked it, but I wasn't repulsed to the point where I can't do it. You know what I mean? But I think it's because now, especially now I know I'm asexual, it's like I don't have to do that anymore. There's no pressure from society because I know that there's different people out there. There's guys that are like me, if you know what I mean, and eventually I'll find a nice guy for me if I want one, I'm sure, you know. And obviously, I don't even want a nice one, not a horrible one. So yeah, I feel like you have your whole life. I feel like that now, whereas before I didn't feel so like. But I've always like I was pressurized at 16 to have sex in order to keep a relationship. That was the first time I had it. And so, I did feel obliged to do that. And throughout my past relationships, it's kind of more obligation, I would just rather had the kissing and some of the touching, I wasn't into the sex. There's nice humans out there. I found one. I know you will. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, there are nice humans out there. You're a nice human, and obviously you're non-human as well. You keep reminding me. Oh, you're a nice human, non-human. We're a nice species of aces. That's what I'll say. But yes, yeah, it's wonderful. I'm so glad. Yeah, it's great. So, on that note, before we start talking about asexual aliens again, why do you feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation in its own right, and what can be done about this? On page 436, this is Darcy's story. I feel like being asexual is sort of being a black hole in sexual space. This is quite funny, since we were talking about aliens just a minute ago, or I was. We are there, but we are kind of negative in that we are just not sexual in a way that is understandable. People generally see it as an excuse to get out of sleeping with someone, like we are faking it, or it's just an abstract concept to most people that they just can't grasp it, especially in a heteronormative society. But even in the queer community, it can be a struggle. We are basically fighting for the right to be ignored in their eyes. The only thing to do is to try to speak to people about it. Tell more people. That's the only great way to teach some things. Exposure. It's kind of like how some straight people don't understand gay people. That they meet one and go, oh, that wasn't so weird. Then they meet one and they go, oh, that wasn't so weird after all. They're just people. That's kind of how I see it. Yeah. I mean, I wish they would just understand that we are just different types of people. Although I like to think we're different because I like being different. But it's just a different type of person to them, And when they said it, they usually see, yeah, so it is true that if you ever get, I'm talking, obviously Sam's in a relationship with an asexual person, but if there's any of you out there and you're thinking about getting into a relationship with a sexual person, generally the heterosexual population, if you say you don't want sex, believe it's like, well, if you say, it's an excuse to get out of sleeping with someone. So so basically they can see it as a reject, like, of them. If you say that you're not interested in having sex, or they might see it as an excuse not to have sex with that particular person, right? So people generally see it as an excuse to get out of sleeping with someone, like we are faking it. But that's how they could see asexuality. But I mean, if we don't want to sleep with someone anyway, what the hell does it matter? That's the whole point. We don't want to have sex with someone. I was just cheated on by 4 partners because I wouldn't do the thing. It's horrible, isn't it? I've been cheated on a lot, Sam. I just hate it. And that's why I don't think I could ever be in a relationship with a sexual person. I really don't. I've told partners I have no interest in sex before we got together. They were fine with it, and then turned crappy when it never happened. Yeah, I mean, I've met guys, in clubs and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I don't like sex. And they immediately say, I don't like it either. but yet they're willing to come back to my place to have sex, no doubt, you know? And so it's just bullshit, excuse my language, but it is, you know? It's they say it's fine, but they don't really mean it. I think some of them see it as a challenge, others see it as you're not really being honest, another person sees it as, oh, you're just not gonna have sex with me straight away because you wanna not seem easy. They don't actually take you seriously. Like when I went out on a date with an older guy, which was difficult, um, he immediately said that well, he didn't immediately say that the second time I think I saw him, or the later on when I saw him, sorry, he then turned around and said, "Oh, I thought I didn't think you were being serious." But I told him about my book on Amazon. I told him about my show here. How can it be fake if I've actually got a YouTube show and I've actually got a book out for asexuals? If asexuality was fake and not real, people wouldn't buy the book. You wouldn't have asexuals buying the book if asexuals didn't exist. It's absolutely ludicrous. Sam, but at least I've had my faith in love restored now. All good things. I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah, I still believe there's someone out there for me. You know, I don't want to let, negative experiences stop me from finding my true love in the end, because I just won't do that. I won't let negative experiences destroy me. I might experience negativity. I might get upset and pain. I might have negative thoughts sometimes, but overall, I will never stop of being loving me, because if I turn out, if I let them get to me, I feel they've won like that. The greatest kind of like thing we can do in life is to be happy. The best thing we can do is to be happy, because those people that treat us badly, then it just kind of like, I don't believe in revenge, but kind of being happy is the best revenge you can ever have, because it's like, well, I'm happy without you now. Do you know what I mean? So, it doesn't matter. And I won't let someone destroy me. Like I've had such bad relationships in the past that I could have turned revengeful or hateful or spiteful, or I could have changed to a bad person, but I didn't. There's a post in our entrepreneurs business group for asexuals, and Melissa posted it, and it's really, really good. I don't know if I can get it up and read it, but it's very brilliant. And it was exactly what I was kind of thinking before, and I've written something in my asexual guide to sex book, about this as well. I don't know if I can find it now because I'm trying to read it out. Let's see if it's here still, if I can read it out. I don't know if I can find the post now, but I'll try and find it. So, because it was similar to what I was writing about. Right, okay, yes. So this is really important, right? Because I was writing some stuff in my asexual guide to sex book, basically saying that, if someone's not been good to you, if someone's upset you, you've had to, part ways. It's best. I'm not saying these are not the exact words in the book, but this is my point that I was trying to make, is instead of getting bitter or about it and, being negative for the rest of your life, it's better not to do that, because you don't want to give your power away to other people like that, because then they've got a hold over you, haven't they? I mean, I'm personally still getting over heartache at the moment, so I'm not going to go into another relationship or look for one whilst I've still got this negativity going on, because it's not good to take that to a new relationship or potential relationship. Having said that, obviously, if you do look around for other people, it can be a bit better for you, because then your mind's not so focused on the old person that's no good for you. Sometimes actually looking around at other people can be a good thing, because you're not focused on what you've lost, then you're focused on what you could gain, which is a very positive thing. But for me personally, I just think I need to concentrate on other stuff at the moment. But this is a very good post. Both narcissists and empaths suffered from early childhood trauma. The empaths took that pain and became more compassionate, not wanting others to suffer the same fate they did, while the narcissists got angry and decided to take that anger out on the world, vowing to put themselves first. Empaths were strong enough not to let the trauma destroy their goodness, while narcissists were weak and let the trauma overcome them. Quote by Maria consiglio. And that is what is so important, you know, if you have a difficult time in a relationship, if you have relationships that may feel like they destroy you at times, you've got to understand that they can only destroy you if they make you a bad person. If you change because of them, if you stop shining your light and you become a bitter, negative person, you know, don't let them win. You know, there's a lot of negativity in the world at the moment in some ways, but I encourage people to look towards the light, to good people in this world, to happy times, to good things. Because if we focus on the negative, we become part of that negative experience for other people and we just add to the negativity and darkness in the world. And there's enough negativity and darkness, you know, so we want to be going towards the light. Sam, I'm attempt to sleep now, so I shall wish you good night and catch you later. Oh, that's great, Sam. I've got another 2 stories to go. So yeah. Yeah, catch you later on the Skype session. It'll be awesome. Have a nice sleep. Right. So anyway. Yeah, so always shine your light. Don't let anyone dull your sparkle. It's very important. So, good night, my friend. See you later. South American Anonymous, the story. Anonymous, I can barely speak. It's because I got a fang, see? Baby tooth. It's hard to talk with that. So, why do you feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation in its own right, and what can be done about this? Because there's no concerns or awareness about asexuality enough to make a difference, nor is there a group standing for us. I think through explaining it in the media, throughout articles, books, interviews, etc., would mean a lot. Also, we need meetups, and we totally need to prove therapists and doctors that there's nothing wrong with being asexual, and that's a thing, not a problem. We are humans too. And I think that's so important. I mean, I usually hold asexual meetups in my city of Exeter in the UK, but at the moment I've got I'm recovering from a broken ankle, so I can't do that at the moment. But eventually in the future I want to get back to doing that. And it's just amazing. To actually meet an asexual person in real life is just absolutely incredible. And it just feels such amazingness, you know, kind of validates you. It brings asexuality to life for you as a person, you know. So if you're an asexual that doesn't get out much and doesn't get to meet asexuals in real life, it can feel like this is just an online thing, but it really isn't. It's a real valid sexual orientation. And once you meet other asexuals in person, it completely validates you. And you're like, wow, this is real. This is so real. And it feels so wonderful. I can tell you. It feels absolutely amazing. And yeah, we do need more and more media coverage. I totally agree with this. And yes, I hope the Asexual Guide to Sex book does prove to therapists and doctors that there is nothing wrong with us, that it's just asexuals are wired completely different to sexuals about sex, and that's okay. Right, so finally, Juanita, why do you feel in general that society doesn't accept asexuality as a form of sexual orientation? It's alright, and what can be done about this? I think the world is and has been overly sexualized. Definitely since the sexual revolution, the 60s. And I think the majority of people are in disbelief that there are those whom really are just not that interested. I think more awareness in general, like there were a few articles online of asexual people in relationships talking about their relationship, and that made it all feel normal and okay. So yeah, that's why it was so good to have Sam on the show tonight, because obviously they're explaining they're actually in a loving, committed relationship with an asexual person. You know, another asexual person, they're asexual too, both non-binary. So this is really good. So you know, I just think it's amazing, true asexual love. And, you know, and I just think it's incredible when anyone can have a relationship without sex and pure love. For me, that's bliss. And I think once we get sexuals to understand that sex and love are two completely different things, I think we'll have a lot more happiness and harmony living among sexuals, and they should understand us far better than they do currently, you know. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Thank you so much, JM and Sam, for being in chat. Lots of love to you. I'll see you on the next video live stream. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Share this channel and video with an asexual friend. And don't forget, like I said, if you're subscribing, to hit that great big bell icon to get notified every time I go live. Right now, I'll post a new video. And I'll see you on the next video live stream. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Bye. Nice to see you.